Our first speaker is Tramel Thompson, followed by Jocelyn McCray.
Good morning, and I want to address Mr. Larry Swartz today and his comments about people being delusional. There's no one more delusional than Mr. Cuomo. For someone to say that he don't know who run the subways to a few months later saying that he go take charge of the subways, it shows that he's delusional, and he just needed that time to create his next set of lies, believe it or not. Delusional is the MTA board who never done our work, but got the nerve to tell the 8 million riders and the 46,000 union members what's good for us. That's pretty delusional. Delusional is you guys talking about cuts in our contract. Those cuts in our contract is going to hurt the riding public. That's delusional. I don't know what you guys is really thinking here. Another thing is delusional. Mr. Foy, you came from the Bridgegate scandal. According to NewJersey.com, you lied on that Bridgegate scandal. But it makes sense. It makes sense because lies and corruption goes right along with Cuomo agenda. So that's why you're here. Another thing that's delusional is these contract proposals. If you guys think that we're going to take this, like I don't care what Local 100 does. It's a whole bunch of members here that care what's going on here today. If y'all want to take us back, into time and turn us from civil servants to indentured servants, we can hop in our time machine also, and we can take you back to 1966, 1980, or 2005. Whatever y'all want to do. Mr. Foy, you got to do better, man. You listening to Cuomo, we can have all these people at Port Washington because it's coming. You affecting our livelihood, it's a matter of time before we affect yours. And for the record, this is what we think about these contract proposals. We don't care about it. Y'all got to do better. You can't call us miracle workers and then treat us like we slaves.
Please kindly conclude your remarks, please. Thank you.
And there's no physical...
Please kindly conclude your remarks. Thank you.
I claim we don't come to work. I'm at work right now.
Please kindly conclude your remarks. Thank you.
That's a smack in our face.
Sir, please kindly conclude your remarks. Before the next speaker, we have 54 people speaking today. We are asking that everyone abides by the 2-minute limit. Thank you. The next speaker is Jocelyn McCray, followed by Cannella Gomez.
Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Jocelyn McCray. I'm a member of Local 100 and Progressive Action. Earlier in this meeting, when you guys were discussing safety, you was talking about assaults. I am currently out on workers' comp because I was spit on while doing my job at work. Now, someone said being spit on is worse than being punched in the face. But guess what? I have 2 children at home. So am I supposed to go home with a black eye as well? We need to stop all assaults. I drive a bus in New York City through every single neighborhood. Some are high crime, some aren't. But guess what? A partial partition is not stopping anything. They can still reach over, they can still lean over, and our safety is still at risk. So if you want us to come to work and report to work and be present, then you have to ensure our safety. Stop making cuts and put in the right protection for your employees. It does not take any rocket science to understand that when you come in, just like you guys have security down here, now today y'all called for extra police, and then y'all stop people from coming upstairs. I cannot stop anyone from coming on that bus. It's open to the public. And then y'all want to cut service, so now we're going to have people waiting, people disgruntled. You guys are setting up the perfect storm for the customers and the employees to come and have issues with one another while you sit comfy here in Manhattan not doing anything. All of this is talk. We don't see any of you guys out here riding any bus in the 5 boroughs. at all. So if you want to ensure our safety and the rider's safety, then you have to do a better job than just sitting in this meeting talking about month after month what is supposed to happen, and get out there and put in correct safety measures for us. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cannella Gomez, followed by Kenneth Murray.
You guys are funny. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say that I've never seen a leadership so disenchanted or so far from their employees. Like, you guys really have no understanding of what your employees go through. And for you guys to submit those contracts, then, Mr. Ford, you make almost $400,000 a year. And I would never say that you make too much money. So how can you tell us employees that make less than 80 grand a year to take 2% raise in New York City? That's insane. Do you feel like, imagine someone telling you you can't make more money. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, it's just a shame that you guys just don't understand where we come from. And as far as assaults go, you guys are the main reason we get assaulted. Like, as sure as the sun will rise when it's our contract time, you guys, I don't know, it's like sometimes I think the Post works for the MTA board. You guys fill the newspaper with, we're lazy, we're taking so many days off. Like, I haven't had a Christmas off in years. I haven't had a Thanksgiving off in years. I haven't had a 4th of July off in years. I haven't had my birthday off in years. Like, it's embarrassing. The only good thing in this room with you MTA board guys is President Byfield. I will say, President Byfield, you are a godsend to the MTA, and we appreciate you. We really appreciate you. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Our next speaker is Kenneth Murray, followed by John Ferretti.
We the transit workers work entirely safe for a dependable service. Knowing this, we the transit workers could not understand why the MTA would offer such a draconian contract. You see, a mass transit system of the 21st century deserves a 21st century training for a 21st century worker with 21st century wages. We the transit workers did not come here today for special treatment, for you would accuse us of wanting. We did not come here for the revolution, for you would accuse us of violence. Let it be written for all to read. When the MTA said yes, we said no. Labor brings in money. Respect labor and give us a fair contract.
Our next speaker is John Ferretti, followed by Rodney Ransom.
Hi, I'm John Ferretti, conductor, proud member of Local 100. I'm here today to talk about what you guys never talk about, where the real crisis of the funding of the transit system comes from. It doesn't come from our overtime. It comes from Wall Street. It comes from salary raises for people like Cuomo. You people have no shame. Every one of you are nothing but a lackey for a gangster governor who's done nothing but attack and lie about working people who make this city run. He gets a $71,000 raise in 2 years. $71,000, 40% raise in 2 years, like a thief in the night. Governor Cuomo and his cronies in the state legislature, they vote themselves a 40% raise. But you won't give us 2? Then you have the nerve, you have the absolute nerve to come here and talk about soft tissue injuries and our employees being injured on the job. Where's Schwartz, by the way? You want to know why we're injured? Because of liars like Larry Schwartz and liars like Patrick Foy. You got $400,000 a year and we can't get 2%? You liar, you got blood on your hands. How dare you come here and talk about you care about us? You're really wringing your hands about how much we're injured. Do you really believe that anybody believes these lies? The time for that nonsense is over. It's over. The riders and the workers are uniting. We're going to show up at every board meeting. You guys can't hide from us. Cuomo can't hide from us. We run this city. We run this city, and don't you ever forget it. And we can make it stop. Don't you ever forget that neither.
Our next speaker is Rodney Ransom, followed by Seth Rosenberg.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone here. To say that I'm outraged or disgusted by the contract demands that you've given us would be a joke. Listening to some of you speak in itself was a joke. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what your background is. I don't know where you came from. I don't know who you think you are. But a lot of us are upset and we're tired of it. When we come to work, we get assaulted. We get abused. We got a gentleman here that got stabbed in his back. None of you responded to it. But the minute Cuomo says jump, the first thing you ask is how high? Where's your manhood? Where's your womanhood? Stand up for what's right. We move this city and pay us correctly.
Yeah. Our next speaker is Seth Rosenberg, followed by Lee Ireland.
Thank you. Some of you seen me before. Let me be perfectly clear. The lies from you and Cuomo about overtime and attendance were done on purpose to try and position yourself to get givebacks from us, from Local 100, on leave time, sick time, and hours of work. You are directly responsible for the rise in assaults on transit workers, and you should be held accountable for your crimes. On attendance, why are we injured and sick so much other than the assaults that you're sicking on us? First, Byford called us miracle workers, and he's right. But you can't have it both ways. Keeping up a system that is falling apart is dangerous. I had to take the same train out of service 3 times in a row, a train that could have injured me. Why is that? As a safety inspector for the union, I saw dangerous and disgusting conditions that when they affected management were fixed like that. But when they affected us, they languished for weeks or months. That gets us sick. That gets us injured. We can't come to work. You cut our schedules and try and squeeze more out of us so we don't have proper recovery time. That leads to stress, that leads to injury, that leads to mistakes. Anyone who works down here can tell you the truth, that you and the MTA don't care about the safety of workers or riders, except to cover your ASS. You don't even think of us as human. We are just cogs in your machine to make the service run. But transit workers care about safety. We have to. Unlike you, our lives are on the line. Unlike you, we actually care about working people and their lives, the millions who ride our trains. What the MTA fears is an alliance between transit workers and riders, and it is coming together, right? Transit workers care about safety, and we will enforce safety, protect our lives and the riders. If necessary, we will shut down unsafe work, and that may lead to disruptions. But the public needs to know that since the MTA has abdicated on safety, we will enforce safety. New York City runs and works because we work. And
Please.
Never forget that.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Lee Ireland, followed by Diane Sorrentino.
Lee is the most senior conductor in the system.
My name is Lee Ireland. I've been working for New York City Transit for 35 and a half years. And I'll be 70 years old in January. And I'm so upset at how things have fallen apart. I mean, I never hear anybody talking about the homelessness problem on the trains. Homelessness on our system is become unbelievably unbearable. I don't blame them. I blame management for that, because it needs to be addressed by management. You've got to do something about this problem. How can you let people that are homeless take over the system like they do? They're like camping out. I've got so many photos. I take photos just to demonstrate this. Anybody want to see them? I'll show them. You know, I mean, come on. And then think of the riding public that has to endure that. And they're paying their fares. They're getting paying their legal fares, and that's what they have to endure. How is that right? Nobody wants to talk about that. And the lack of police protection, another thing. You know, back in the early days, there used to be plainclothes detectives out in the field. That was a wonderful thing. What happened to that? We need that. You know, criminals feel that They don't have nothing to worry about. They're well aware that the fact that there's no police protection out there. And we all know that. We can see it. And they see it. And they've become very brazen, and it's unsafe not only for us as employees, but for the riding public and tourists that come from all over America and abroad. You know, many times I'll press the alert button for conductors to call command center to make them aware of something that's going bad on the subways. Because most people don't do it because they're afraid that then they will be accosted by the criminal that's causing the problem. So they're afraid to do it. So I always do it to try to show a good example to passengers how to respond.
Sir, please kindly conclude your remarks.
They call command center, and command center says, but signal en route on your horn.
Sir, please kindly conclude your remarks.
They never show up. They never show up. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Diane Sorrentino, followed by Alberto Alamo.
Good morning. My name is Dwayne Sorrentino. I am a train operator and proud Local 100 member. Our contract expired May 15th. The MTA plays media games. I know you guys hate bad publicity. You're always out doing all different stuff in the media trying to counter things. The last thing, we're hiring 500 police officers. I don't know about you guys. MTA police officers are not in New York City transit subways. They patrol the railroads. That's not going to help us. Like Mr. Island said, the homeless problem is rampant everywhere. Nothing gets done. You're in the media bragging how you improve service, expediting the public commute. The only praise I've heard for the actual workforce doing the work was from Mr. Byford. Okay? If you look in the sports world, the manager, the coach, the owners, they don't get the team into the Super Bowl or the World Series. They're never named the MVP. It's the team. It's the workforce that does the work. Okay? That's what TW does. TW is we move the public. That's what we do. That's what we've always done, and that's what we try to do. We should not be adversaries on this. We should be working together to make the system better. Your own data shows that the system and service has improved, but yet you offer a contract offer like we're not doing anything. This whole thing with the time clocks and the chronos, like we're stealing. Listen, no TW member signs their own overtime. Nobody. Nobody. Until you go to management and the people signing off on overtime and find out why the overtime is generated, don't hold it against us. There's work to do. TW does it. We've always done it. Okay? So, out of last contract on page 2, the TW agreed to facilitate the improvements. And yet we're
Please kindly conclude your remarks.
Contract offer. So, anyway, thank you.
Our next speaker is Alberto Alamo, followed by Guillermo Rosa.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a work train operator. I see what most people don't, and it's the waste of money that all of you on this board do every day. Glass stations in Astoria. Why do we need glass stations in Astoria? Why do we need locomotives that cost $3.5 million each and buy 28 of them when they smoke out a station in 5 minutes, folks? Riding public is at risk when it comes to one of our work trains going into a station and smoking it out in 5 minutes. $3.5 million for each one of those. On top of that, 4th Avenue in Brooklyn was collapsing. It took a piece of concrete to actually hit a train before you actually thought of fixing it. It took a year to do that. The L-Line project that you guys finagled, it's lipstick on a pig, folks. We have concrete that's actually falling and you're masking it with a plastic layer on top of it. I'm there every night. You guys are not. 100-degree heat down in that tunnel on the L-Line, and you fail to provide ventilation for all the workers down there actually doing the work. Genius. Very genius. You care about safety? I think not. I think it's a big lie. Also, on the work train side, lack of maintenance and facilities. So we have derailments and you have these excuses, but yet you fail to maintain a yard. Coney Island Yard has one loop track available. Meanwhile, you're fixing flood protection. Spring Street over the weekend had flood protection. There is no flood protection at Spring Street, folks. It's on an upgrade. it would have to be on a downgrade for there to be flood protection. I guess you guys don't know the difference between up and down. So we have to be a little bit smarter on the way that we spend the money that you supposedly have or don't have. Doesn't matter to me because we're still not going to see it because you guys want to treat us like garbage. But understand this, we make the city move. You don't.